How's it going, and welcome back to Roots Reptiles. Today I got a video for you. We're going to be moving over a three-toed box turtle like I talked about if you watched the last video. We're going to be moving over a three-toed box turtle into a new enclosure. It's just going to be one singular female that we're moving over today. So I'm going to show you where we're going to be putting her, and we'll go ahead and fixture it all out, get her set up, and get her put in there. This is where she's going to be going. It's going to be this big Rubbermaid tub. So I like to use the Rubbermaid tubs. They last forever. They don't ever rust. Nothing. I've never had anything go wrong with them, and some of mine are really old at this point. So this one I believe is a 60 or an 80 gallon tub. It's like 4 foot long at least and like 2 foot across. So for one singular box turtle, this is absolutely plenty of space. So we're going to go ahead and grab a water bowl. We're going to grab a couple hides. We're going to grab a food plate. And we'll go ahead and get this thing fixtured out, and we will get her moved over. Now, if you watched the last video, that was on Asian box turtles. So we got all the Asian box turtles moved over. At the end, the male was picking on one of the females that was laying eggs. That was a good surprise. The eggs are looking very good. They're still in the incubator, and I'll let you know when and if they hatch. All the other Asian box turtles are doing fantastic. I have not put that male back in with the females anymore. He's still off to the side. I don't know if I will ever be putting him back in there, or he may just stay separated for the rest of his life. It's not really worth the risk, especially when these guys are breeding just fine. It's not really worth disrupting that just to try to add another one. So I'm going to give you a quick update on these guys. I'll show you how they're doing, and then we'll get back to setting up the three-toed box turtle. Here are the Asian box turtles. As you can see, they completely dug out underneath here. There's 3 of them in the water bowl right now. There's one female right there, and there's another female right there. They're all doing fantastic. They're all moving around. They've all been acting completely normal. They're all stretching their legs and absolutely loving all the space. So I'll keep you guys updated if we get any more eggs, when babies hatch, if I make any changes. But for now, they're doing great, and I have 0 complaints so far. This is going to be the water bowl that we're going with. So it's going to be a good sized water bowl. And you'll see her in a second, but she's not very big. She's like a little bit bigger than my fist maybe. So plenty of room to get around. And I always put a brick in here. So I usually fill the water level up to the brick. And they're plenty big enough, she's plenty big enough, that at that point her head can stick out of the water, no problem. But this just helps them climb out. They can get really good grip on the brick with their nails. And it helps them get out of the water. So let's get this put in here. I'll get it filled up with water, and then we'll grab some decorations. We'll get some decorations put in here for her, and we'll get her moved over. Now, there's a couple things that this turtle really likes in particular. One of them is soaking in their water bowl, and we have it covered with this size water bowl. That's totally fine. Perfect. Covered. The other thing they like to do a lot is to bury. So we're going to put this at an angle. Throwback to if you watch the iguana video, how we put in the hide at an angle so it like mimics a natural burrow and goes down in, and we can bury it part way. We're going to do the same thing with this, and we're going to leave it a little bit open so that way she can bury down in, and this is like a natural hide for her that's already preset. So we're going to get this put in, and then we're going to grab a couple more logs or whatever else, give her some things. Same thing, I'll say it again just in case you missed it in the last video. Turtles, box turtles in particular, and tortoises can get splayed legs. So their legs should be straight up and down. Their shells should be up off the ground, and when they walk, they should be over top of themselves. If they don't have obstacles to walk over and they're not using their muscles consistently throughout their lives, they'll get splayed legs, which means their legs kick out to the side and their hips will fuse. And this can ultimately lead to the demise of the animal, unfortunately. They'll walk with like a waddle and their shell will almost drag on the ground. That's an easy way to tell if they have it or not. You can easily prevent it by giving them things to climb over top of, giving them places to bury. When they work their legs, it mitigates that ever happening whatsoever. So as long as you're not keeping them on completely flat ground with nothing to do, you'll be okay. But try to give them as many things as you can, as much space as you can, because it always helps. we're going to get this put in, and then we're going to get some obstacles for her to climb over top of, get a food plate in here, and then we'll get her moved over. As you can see right here, this totally makes a perfect hide for her to be able to go back in there. You'll see based on her size, she can easily go in there, turn around, do whatever she wants, and there's actually more space back behind here. The hide only goes till about here, so she's got a couple more inches back behind it where she can actually dig, and she should be able to fit around the back of the hide if she wants to make a tunnel. So that's perfect, and I guarantee you we're going to see her use that in time. Here's a couple perfect smaller items that'll just make a little obstacle for her to climb over top of. Here is what we have so far. So obstacle for her to climb over, obstacle for her to climb over, obstacle for her to climb over. This one she's definitely going to end up knocking down, but just like with the Asian box turtles, it gives her something to go underneath. She can scratch her shell if she wants to, she can do whatever she wants with it, and she'll probably just bulldoze it over and move it wherever she wants to within the enclosure. So one thing to keep in mind in a lot of these tubs with any bigger box turtles that I have, or any smaller species of tortoises which are still larger than this box turtle, they can get out of these tubs, they can potentially climb out. So I usually put like 2x4s lining the edge of the tub so that nothing can climb out. Her, I'm not worried about it because of her size, but I don't want to put anything in here that she can potentially move around and then climb out. So that's why like these are pretty flat. Like even if she pushes it all the way up to the edge, it doesn't go any higher than this lip. And she can already stand on the lip. I already know that because the lip's always going to be there. Same with this one right here. If you push it over to the edge, it doesn't go any higher than the lip. So that way she can't push anything around too much. And I'm down here all the time, so I would see it as well. But just as a precaution, nothing that she can just like scoot over a little bit and then hop out, because we don't want her falling. She's on the upper stand. On the bottom stand, we have tortoises down there. But we're going to get some slate rocks, put some slate rocks under the light so she has places to bask, and then we'll get her moved over in just a second. Here's a nice big rock right here, and this can actually work for a couple things. So you could put this in right under the heat light, and it can help her bask, so she'll go up on top of it and bask, which I think I'm going to get a smaller one to put here. I think what I'm going to do with this one is this is actually going to be a food plate. So I can clean it every week, I can make sure and everything, and her food will go right on top of here. It's a big enough surface area that her food will fit on top of it. And this can actually just be used as a food plate. So I think this one's going to go over here closer to the UV. The UV is this one, the heat's this one. If you put it directly under the heat and it's the food, it's just going to wilt and go bad really fast. The other thing with it is this came out of a different enclosure. So before I clean it off, I'm going to shake a couple of these crickets in here. So with crickets in here, her being a box turtle, she'll actually eat the crickets out of here. I've watched her like chase them down in the enclosure she's in right now, so I know she'll do it in here. So we're going to brush a couple of these crickets off, get this cleaned off to the quality where it can be used as food plate. We're actually going to go ahead and put some food in here, and then we're going to move her over. And I'll address it now just in case. Some people may say, oh, you're feeding them on a rock. Well, if you go buy a plastic bowl or hide at the store, I clean this the exact same way that I would clean a plastic bowl or a hide, and they're not going to be eating off of plastic in the wild. So them eating off of this rock, as they eat, it'll actually wear down their beaks more naturally than plastic would, so you don't have to trim their beaks at all. It'll do the same thing with their nails. It has a bunch of benefits to it. So if you want to know certain tips and tricks and stuff like that, just drop a comment below and I can answer any questions that you have on stuff like that. But it's actually more beneficial to use this than to go and buy a plastic bowl at the store. So that's at least what I do a lot of here. I do use plastic bowls and stuff like that as well. But when given the opportunity, especially for animals like box turtles and tortoises that have beaks on them, so their beaks will consistently grow throughout their life, so they'll never stop. And if you don't give them something, especially when they're eating, to hit and basically wear it down as they eat, the beak will get overgrown and it almost like becomes a duck bill and like comes out and they can't eat properly at all. Same with their nails. Their nails will always grow, and if you don't give them places to dig and places to wear their nails down as they walk across it, their nails will like curl over backwards and everything, and it's really bad for them. So if you have any questions about anything that you see here, feel free to drop a comment below and I'll answer any questions you have.
My heartbeat, yeah, it's pumping so loud. It's the rhythm of love, baby, that I found when the music plays. I just can't help but sway. Nothing else matters. It's my heart that...
We got some food in here for her. This is collard greens, carrots, bananas, strawberries, and then these are 2 different types of Missouri pellets. These are going to be the crocodilian pellets. They're actually really good for turtles and box turtles and stuff like that as well, but they are the crocodilian pellets technically. And these are going to be the tropical tortoise pellets. So I have dry tortoise pellets as well, but they wouldn't go to these guys because although these guys can be found in Texas and in drier areas, it's still a box turtle. They'll seek out moisture places. They'll dig down in the ground where there's moisture and stuff like that. So this is what I generally feed them. I'll switch up the fruit every week. The collard greens generally stay the same. If you give certain tortoises and stuff kale actually has a bunch of iron in it, and it can actually be bad for those tortoises. So I generally stick away from kale. Collard greens are the easiest to get. You can also do mustard greens, dandelion greens. There's a bunch of other options, but collard greens are the cheapest and easiest for me to get, and they're super healthy for them. So every week they'll get collard greens, every week they'll get carrots, every week they'll get the pellets, and then I switch up the fruit every single week. So they'll always get something different. So let's go ahead and grab her. We'll get her moved over into here and we'll see how she likes it. And here she is. This is our female 3-toed box turtle. So she's a little bit more shy, especially when I pick her up. When she's in the enclosure, she's usually fine. She'll come right over to me. You can see her little eyes peeking out in there. All the box turtles have different personalities, so let's go ahead and get her put down and we'll see if she starts walking around. As you can see, I went ahead and set her right here in a pretty central location. She can see her food right here. I did go ahead and add a smaller slate right here, right by the heat lamp, so this will heat up in time and she'll be able to come and bask on this. She can also bask on top of this right here if she wants to. So let's go ahead and let her settle in, and I'll try to get some footage here in a bit of her walking around, or if I miss it, I'll show you where she chooses to hide. I can guarantee you if she's hiding, it'll be in here, but we'll see what she does. So let me pick up the camera in like 15 minutes or so, and we'll see what she's done, because I don't think she's, especially with me standing here talking, I don't think she's going to do anything, and it's not an exciting video if I just stand here and stare at her. Maybe I'll just leave the camera on a time lapse. That's what I'll do. I'll do a time lapse for you guys. So I'll leave my camera here in time lapse mode, and we'll see if you guys can see where she ends up going and what she does after I leave. Perfect.
I hear the beat. It's in my chest. Got me feeling some kind of way. I confess the rhythm takes over, no room to rest. My heart's dancing, it's a love conquest. Oh.
Hopefully y'all got a good time-lapse video of that. She's moving around now, climbing over her obstacles, using her legs. She's looking great. You can see on her butt right there, those toes on the back. I don't want to touch her because then she's going to go into her shell. But she's got 3 toes on her back legs, and that's what will give her the name, the 3-toed box turtle. You can see as soon as she sees my fingers moving, she'll freeze. When I back up, she'll move again. Bringing that head out slowly and looking around. So she's going to walk around her enclosure for the next couple hours at least and just check everything out and make sure everything's safe, and she's going to love it in here. This is perfect for her. Stretching out. I'm going to give you another real good look at her, and then we'll wrap it up here in a minute. And here is a close-up of her. You can see she's got a real nice coloration towards the front of her face, and her shell's a really nice color too. Just checking everything out. whole new environment she's got to get used to. And just as a last note, I did go ahead and add the 2x4s on the top to give a couple more inches of height just in case. She is still doing well, but she does want to see what is on the other side of this wall. So now it's guaranteed she can't get out, and here's what that looks like. Thank you everybody for watching. I know this is a little bit of a shorter video, but it's a smaller enclosure. It's a little bit faster, a little bit easier to do. I appreciate each and every one of you for watching. I'm standing in front, this will be the next video right here. So drop a comment below what you think is going to go in this enclosure right here. And that'll be coming within the next week or so. So thank you to everybody, and subscribe down below.